All right, everyone, and welcome to another. Wow, I am choppy for some reason. Welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nun. I am here tonight with Jason Murff from Grill Your Ass Off. Jason, good to see you again, buddy.
You as well.
Yep. It is. We are just hanging out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was like you were literally just here.
yeah, right where you're at. I know that the room you're in. It is where all the magic happens.
Yeah,
And
right over there on the casting couch.
that's it on the casting couch. That's it. I don't know what's going on in my video. It was clear. It was smooth earlier. Boy, I got a lot of chop now.
Yeah,
I don't. You do? Can you see it being pretty choppy, like not smooth? Yeah,
yeah, it's choppy on my end too.
yeah. I don't know what's going on. It's trying to see who's stealing all my bandwidth here. Shut some things down. But hey, good to have you back on GrillYourAssOff.com, a veteran-owned and operated business and seasoning. How do you call? I guess what do you? What's your genre? What is your classification of your business? What would you call that?
So we used to try and run down the road where it was seasoning sauces, beef jerky, pickles, olives, hot sauce, salsas, dips, all that kind of stuff. So I just started saying gourmet barbecue products, which that doesn't even cover everything. um,
No, but that sounds like it's pretty close. Gourmet barbecue products. Yeah.
yeah, so that's been the easiest way that I can explain to people, and then most of the time people will stop and say like, "Oh, so you have a barbecue restaurant?" It's like, no.
Yeah, the products. You gotta remember that last word for sure. That's the key word. Yeah. So and gourmet makes it sound gourmet.
Makes it
Uh,
fancy.
Makes it sound fancy. Yeah. So yeah, good to have you on. I was just in the shop there, like say a couple weeks ago. We did a little video and did a little tour, and so we're gonna talk about some of those products tonight. I'm gonna maybe see if I turn off my background. Maybe the hell it's just weird that this thing is bothering me that this is all acting up. But yeah. So we were there looking at some stuff. I've got some feedback definitely on some of your product and that kind of stuff, and we'll get into that. But first, kind of want to talk about what's going on in the world of you guys. What do you guys have happening? What's coming up? Any new announcements? Any new products that just came out or that are coming out?
We just launched our beef jerky. We relaunched it, so we completely scrapped the what we learned over the last few years of making beef jerky and took all of our customers' feedback, all of our knowledge, and just kind of redid the entire way. Had the thickness of the slice, the style of marinade, the way that it's cooked, processed. We increased the size of the bag by 50% of the beef, while being able to maintain a margin of only going up $1 per bag for the customer, to try and get it as close as we can to the gas station, name brand jerkies that we all know that are just ground up, pressed pieces of you don't know what. And then we came out with some pretty like out there and wild flavors, like our dill pickle. That's actually been a very, very good seller. Our chipotle adobo is still one of my favorites. We increased the heat. There you go. Chili lemon is another solid one. And even, we have sweet garlic, maple brown sugar, cowboy pepper, a lot of really cool flavors. And we were able to just figure out, overall, throughout the years, how to make a better product with better flavor for our customers.
Yeah, and I think you guys have done a good job. You see, I switched cameras. The luck of having a couple different ones, and this one is acting better. And I thought it might work well at home with the product. So you gave me a couple samples of this. You gave me some of your older ones or previously made ones, the 2-ounce packages. These are 3-ounce packages, so a little bit more. You get some more beef to it, if you would. I'm pretty partial about jerky. I consider myself quite a connoisseur of jerky, as I make a lot of my own, but it's out of venison. And I was pleasantly surprised. Your new products are definitely quite a bit better. They are the thicker cut makes a big difference. It makes it more of a flavorful experience. And then when you have thinner cut, and I guess as someone that makes a lot of it, when it's thinner, right, it's more of like a tack. like a dry tack or something like you'd have on a range, tear a chunk off and just be with you for a little bit. But the thicker jerky and the chili limon and the I had a couple different ones. The cowboy one is really good too. I really like that one. But this is definitely it's worth it. 3 ounces is quite a bit. It's pretty hefty, and it's definitely one that I totally support and think people should pick up because it's a big difference.
You don't. This is that ultimate. That's what she said. Like 1 ounce makes a huge difference whenever you go from a 2 ounce pack to a 3 ounce pack. Like the amount that it actually fills you, which again, that's what she said, is quite drastic. I honestly didn't think it would be that much. And then once we got into testing, we were testing, 4 ounce bags, 6 ounce bags. We were like 6 ounces is going to be way too much for just a single setting for most people. 4 ounce was still kind of pushing it, but it also kind of pushed that price point to where you start to question, like, it's a bag of beef jerky. Like, so 3 ounces was just kind of that sweet point. And then I love the tenderness of the thinner cuts, but going to that thicker cut, you yield a better product, you yield better flavor. So just across the board, it makes a better product. So that's our newest stuff that we've came out with. Unless if I get a wild hair up my ass, there's probably not going to be another new product until next year. As of right now, we've been ramping up for the holiday season. A lot of people think like summertime and grilling season is like our peak season, and it's actually the complete opposite. Our grilling season is great, but our holiday season is, 10 times that. So we're gearing up for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, and then one of the biggest products this fall is going to be our Battleship brine. We have a garlic and herb brine that works great for obviously poultry. You can use it for pork, beef, you name it. We call the Battleship brine, because we'd never done anything for the Navy. And we figured, hey, you're going to be putting your bird in water with the brine, so we might as well call it Battleship brine. Ended up turning out really cool. We got a little donkey driving and shooting a turkey out of a gun on a battleship. And the thing with all of our products, I always try and stay ahead to where whenever you have that product, especially if it's a spice, seasoning, anything like that, you have everything that you need. You don't need to go and grab, hey, I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And that same principle for the brine, because typically you'll go to the store, get a brine, come back, you have the water, you have the bird, you have the brine. You typically have a 5-gallon bucket in your garage somewhere or a cooler, right? Well, you don't want to just put your water, brine, and the bird inside of there. So we stopped and we were like, hey, why don't we just like go above and beyond and go ahead and include a 5-gallon bucket bag liner. So every single bag of brine will actually have that inside of there.
And then, so it's all a one-stop shop. And
yep. All you need is a bucket or a small cooler. I've even seen people put it in their sink, fill it up full of water, and just dump a ton of ice on it.
Right.
And just let it sit overnight.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect. I mean, that's what makes you guys gourmet, right? So anybody can make seasonings, but when you start coming out with that and thinking of that, I mean that's pretty awesome. I haven't had that one yet. I mean, I've tried a number of your products we're going to talk about, but to make it one-stop shop, like you said, a lot of people will like, I have people, because I make so much jerky myself out of venison, people will send me recipes, and it has like 20 or 15, 20 different ingredients. And I've done a couple of them, but way too much hassle. I'd rather have one type of seasoning packet where I don't have to go a teaspoon of half a teaspoon of smoky paprika and some garlic and 2 teaspoons of black pepper and blah. I'm like, no, just give me one thing done. It's enough work as it is. So having a brine bag, it's all in one, done. Soak it and then deep fry that turkey or whatever you're going to do with it, then that's perfect.
Yeah, it makes life easy.
Did you guys have this last year?
Yeah, so this will be our 3rd year since we've launched the brine. The first year we ended up not happy with it and just really tweaking it and then getting it out like last minute for Thanksgiving. So we didn't realize how big of an impact it would have. And then last year it was just like all we did was make brine. It was absolutely insane. So this year is already gearing up to be like that. So anyone watching that is interested, I would highly recommend to use y'all's new discount code and go ahead and stock up now, because as soon as we get into November, it's going to be wild.
Yeah. Well, great segue. I threw it up underneath this, scrolling past. Yes, we have a discount code for Grill Your Ass Off. If you go to this link, or you get 15% off. So if you go grillyourassoff.com/Stu and the Nunn, all one word, you can get 15% off of any of their products: brine, jerky, duck fat spray.
Got beef tallow spray too. Wagyu beef tallow with that.
That's right. Vodka rib glaze. I mean, you got it. You got bag and tag right here. You got the gunpowder right there. Right. All these are I have like I don't know how many I've used every one, Jason. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna blow smoke. It is I've tried, in fact, I just smoked a chicken. Oh, when did I do that? Sunday, or was it Sunday? I think it's Sunday, and just did it in Willie Pete, the chicken seasoning. I did
Yep.
did a little spatchcock on it. This isn't it, but just hold this one up. This is the bag and tack. I've used a lot of this because I cook a lot of venison. I just used it in some venison stew twice. I've done 2 batches of venison stew in the last couple weeks. Used it in that. Pretty much anything. Some steaks I did on. I used it on.
What's your honest feedback on the bag and tag? Because like a lot of people think that, hey, I can only use this on venison, but like it's so versatile.
Oh, it is. It's a. I mean, I'm not sure what ingredients you guys put in that made you, if you even did think, say this is perfect for wild game. But I've used it on regular. I used it on regular steaks too, and I used it on a porterhouse a couple weeks ago, and it came out great. I mean, it's an absolute great seasoning. Now, this one right here, this the gunpowder, that's good. This has got weight to it. I think with 13 ounces. What is this one? Yeah, 10 ounces. You can feel this gunpowder. This is no joke. This is what you want on that brisket or a steak. Or, I mean, this is something you're going to throw in a prime rib. I do a 24-hour prime rib usually for Christmas in the smoker. Runs 24 hours. This is going all over it this year.
Oh, yeah.
It says gunpowder for a reason. It's black. It looks like gunpowder.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we always tell people. They get kind of confused by it, and we just tell them, hey, we made it look like gunpowder, but thankfully it tastes nothing like it.
No, it's very good. And what I like too is not only have you told me a couple recipes and a couple ways to try things, but you guys throw a lot of them up on your site, and in fact, mail them out. I just sent my wife. You just sent the Halloween poppers with the little fake. I just sent them over to her. I said, check these out. The stuffed jalapeno. Looking like little mummies, and got the fake eyes on them and everything. And so you guys send recipes out. You put recipes up there. You also have a recipe book you guys sell.
Yeah. We're a little overdue for needing a new recipe book, but I've been a little strapped on time here recently. So I started a new one about 2 years ago. Made it about 10 recipes in, and that's where it's been sitting for a while, because if we're going to do it, I want to do it right.
Well, you're a small veteran-owned business. You've got, a good amount of employees working all. I mean, I've been there in your shop, like you said a few weeks ago. Got to walk all around. You run a lean, mean machine there, and I think I'm without a doubt everyone wears a few hats. You guys are busy cats, right? I mean, it makes sense. And you're expanding new products from tumblers to cutting board. I mean, all that stuff takes time to. I know, figure out, research where you're going to get manufactured, test it, all that stuff takes time. And then make sure you have the ability to make the quantity you want.
Yeah.
Now, you have a couple interesting things. You have atomic dongs, donkey dongs, and donkey balls. Now, you told me those were big sellers.
Very big.
And where have you found those to be the biggest sellers at?
So our donkey balls are actually our number one selling product for Hallmark. And by Hallmark, I mean the greeting card company. So you can walk into Hallmark, buy your grandma a birthday card and a jar of donkey balls for her.
And just to be clear, since my mom is probably watching the show as she normally does, donkey balls are habanero stuffed olives. So the jar of olives. And yes, so, and I think it was just hilarious, Jason. You guys are in 2 retail outlets. You're in Ace Hardware and Hallmark stores.
That's right. Our 2 biggest major chains.
Right.
So far.
Major national chains so far. 2 kind of considered complete opposite ends of the spectrum kind of stores.
100%.
Right. People go into Ace to get a hammer and some screws and nuts and bolts and whatever else. They're going into Hallmark to get the card and a whatever else they get in Hallmark. I don't know, but
if you think about it, it's perfect because and yes, the same Hallmark channel that your wife is currently watching. It's all the same blended in. But if you think about like who shops at Ace Hardware, a lot of them are going to be your typical, dudes that do everything at their house. They're able to fix everything. If they don't know how to fix it, someone inside the Ace Hardware is going to be able to tell them how to fix it. And then they're going to go home, watch a YouTube video, probably break it, go back to the store, buy what they just broke, and then fix it. And then grab some seasoning on their way out. And then Hallmark, that's where that same person's wife is going to be shopping for gifts. And then she's going to turn and be like, oh, hey, I got all the girls taken care of. Here's this perfect seasoning box. Let me go ahead and grab that for my husband.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, you're right. You're hitting both sides of the household, right? Assuming that's how they go. And you got great merch. I am sporting, great. I love this hat. Got the shirt. So you guys have a lot of that. And you got some other cool stuff. One of my favorites I've used a lot. I haven't tapped in this one yet because I have another one already. But the Donkey Punch vodka Bloody Mary seasoning was just partaking in that just this last weekend while hunting, and pairs well with the chili lime beer salt, also for Bloody Marys. Just took this out of the freezer as per your recommendation, and all kind of little. One thing I like about it, one, you've got a great artist. I've talked about it. You're the donkey and all that is great. You got a great graphic artist, but you slip little like not Easter eggs maybe, but you put little things in the designs, right? And some of the containers and bags and that kind of stuff. You've almost made it kind of like a scavenger hunt. What led to that?
We just got bored. It was never really a part of the first two versions of the label, so to say. I got more fun out of it on the aspect of, on the first round of labels, it was me communicating with the dudes that I served with on like, hey, like, what do we put for Willie Pete? Like, how can we correlate that to chicken? And that Willie Pete specifically, we've all seen that World War II poster of the dude standing in like a hayfield, like throwing the perfect grenade stance. And I took that photo and then I found some weird chicken on Google and I sent it to my childhood best friend's brother, who I knew could like freehand sketch some stuff. And I said, hey, put these two together. And that was like how the first four became legit. I mean, you can see this one right here. This is the first ever bottle of Cajun seasoning. So quite drastic compared to what it is now.
Right.
And then whenever we did our last major update on all of the labels, it was the Cajun seasoning specifically that the kind of idea came from. We haven't finished going back and updating little Easter eggs inside of every single label, but he specifically sent over the Cajun seasoning. And I was like, hey, this is like, it looks phenomenal. It's a donkey, like in some, fishing overalls. He's got a net. He's holding a claymore with crab pinchers on it. I was like, dude, this looks so good, but I just feel like it's missing something. Like, we need to do something like his hat's blank. And he was like, well, what do you want me to put it on? And I was like, I don't know, throw a patch or something. He was like, well, you want me to have it say like grill your ass off? And like, just jokingly, I sent him back. I was like, no, put like ass crabs or something on it. So if you actually zoom in and look on the Cajun seasoning, you'll see it says ass crabs on his on the hat patch. So that kind of like kicked it off. And then, we slowly started developing more and more products, even down to, you're just holding the chili lime beer salt. We wanted to do like a Day of the Dead vibe. And if you actually look in his sports coat, that is a silver and gold plated 1911 handle for like a Sicario.
Right there. Yeah, I can't get the right there. That's where he's
even down like you had the Donkey Punch. That one was another fun one because we were actually gearing up the Bloody Mary mix launch and we were going to call it Donkey Punch. And it was like, oh, this is perfect. The Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight was about to happen. So I was like, dude, let's have him have a bite taken out of his ear. And then they canceled the fight right as we launched that. So there's a lot of lost translation in that, but very few people pick up on the fact that it actually has a bite out of its ear. And we've done some fun ones too, to where, 2 years ago we were at SHOT Show, and we were doing a check presentation party at a pretty nice place. donating to the Independence Fund. And I noticed one of my really good friends, Scott Jansen from Warfighter Tobacco's there. And he's hanging out with a group of guys kind of far away from where we're doing the check presentation. And as soon as we get done with that, I was like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. So I go beeline over there, and Scott's in like this maroon, like checkered looking sports coat, nothing on it. And I'm talking like we have very, very high ranking people of all sorts of branches there. And he just has a single national defense ribbon on, nothing else. The thing that everyone gets handed to for saying, good job, you joined the Army. And whenever we went to design that, we put a little grill your ass off speakeasy sign in the background. But I was like, I want to add this one thing. And so we literally copied his exact sports coat and put the national defense ribbon. And that's on our Whiskey Smoked Sugar.
That's on the Whiskey Smoked Sugar.
Yes, sir.
I gotta go. I see. Every time you tell me one of these, I always go look real quick.
I mean, even down our pop smoked taco and fajita seasoning on the smoke grenade, it's hard to see. If you look at it on the 3-pound bag, it's a lot easier. It actually has the date that we started the company, which was 9 years and 3 days ago.
Not that you're counting.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, it's that's what I mean. It's not only is a great product and everything else, but just to hear these little things and know what to go look for and see if you can find it and all that kind of stuff is awesome. And also another one of my favorites, the spicy ranch and the regular ranch. I mean, I've made some of that and it's been a big hit with my hunting buddies and all that kind of stuff. Another great one. So, just on full disclaimer up front, yes, Jason has given me a couple things, but I made a big purchase after we first met and after we had him here on the show. And I thought, do my part, support another veteran. And I mean, I grill, I cook, I do all kind of stuff like that. So, I'm sure I'll use it. I haven't tapped in my salsa yet. I've got a jar of salsa from you too. So I'm excited to get into that, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and partake in that, but I know it's going to be awesome. And then, yes, when I came down to visit you, hooked me up with the hats and tried to compare the jerkies and all that stuff. So, yeah. And now to give us a coupon code and let our listeners and viewers get 15% off. I mean, you can't beat that at all. That's so make sure people go out there and check that out. And then you're tied to our good friend Travis at Alpha Elite, also sponsor, big sponsor of this show, good friend of Toby's and mine. And, it's I don't know if we ever told you the story. I don't know but Toby was in high school up in Anchorage the same time that Travis was, and they were competing high schools. So they played hockey against each other in competing high schools in Anchorage, Alaska, while I was stationed at Anchorage, Alaska. So while I was at the 501st, these young, wet, snotty-nosed freaking high schoolers were in competing high schools and playing on the ice against each other. And then we all find ourselves back in the same circles again. So it's a small Army world, right?
Very.
It's we never know who we know and stuff. But so no, that's great stuff. You said Thanksgiving's coming, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, turkey brines, all that stuff. It's about to get real busy for you guys, huh?
Yeah, pretty much once Black Friday, Cyber Monday starts, it's shut the doors at the warehouse and we're full steam ahead really until about the second week of January.
Then it starts to slow down, right, to get everything filled.
We start to get to a breathable pace. This year we're hoping for another great one. We're going to have a good one regardless. It's been a little slower than normal for everyone across the board. And everyone's just, it's getting a little tight with the economy. So we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, we're all strapped in for it. We got all the supplies. We're prepped. We're ready. So we're going to knock it out of the park like every year.
So you mentioned the economy and all that stuff and small business and everything with the administration coming in this year with the tariffs, with all that stuff. Has that been an impact on you guys? A major impact, or even a positive or negative, and just how this economy's been as it's bounced back from the last administration?
So there's kind of pros and cons. It's always super weird too, because, and I guess not really weird, but whenever you have someone like the previous administration to where there's a lot more money being given out, for not a whole lot of reasons, people like to spend a lot of money. And then once you have administration that's tightening down on everything, trying to do stuff more in a business aspect, the funds get pulled back a good bit. The tariffs have been like pros and cons. So a lot of people don't know the majority of the garlic and black pepper in the world actually comes from overseas. It's not grown here in the States. So as soon as all the tariff stuff started popping off, it was just immediate phone calls with every single one of our suppliers on trying to lock in prices to where, if we did end up with 100 or 200% tariff or anything crazy happens, we had prices locked in, because you start adding up, hey, this went up 100%, this went up 100%. We get this from this country, it went up 30%. That all has to get passed on to the retailer or to the customer. And there's only so much margin that we have inside of a bottle of seasoning. We have had some up and downs with the tariffs. They haven't affected us too much. We have had a good bit of increase in our cost just across the board. And then, right now it's everyone's starting to get a little bit tighter and tighter. I've been keeping on track with a lot of the reports, and we're starting to see a lot more, people starting to get upside down on their car loans, trying to trade in cars because they're upside down on them. And just that's typically the sign of things are about to get a lot worse. Not only that, but just checking in with a lot of my other friends who own businesses. I talked to Travis the other day, and all of these other great veterans and non-veterans. And we just, we like to check in on each other. Hey, I just found this out. Hey, try this right here. I just made some money by doing this. We turned this around. But also outside of the good, we check in on each other while it's bad, because being an entrepreneur, that's one of the hardest things whenever things are going south and it's almost out of your control. It puts a lot of weight on you.
Yeah, it does. And when you're, maybe not living paycheck to paycheck, but obviously you're running a lean operation, you can't, when you're a small business, you can't absorb big delays or, impact. You kind of have it balanced out pretty well. So like you said, you may get a few cents more for something or an uptick in charges. Then you've got to balance. Do I eat that? Can I eat that? Do I have to pass it on? That kind of thing. Do I risk losing customers if I do? And then sometimes just the nature of the business you're in, it just may go south for a while, because it just is whatever's causing it, right? It may not even cost, it just maybe not be the season for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you and others all kind of look after each other and kind of keep an eye on things and hopefully help promote each other. And obviously that's why we love your company and love having you on here and that kind of stuff, is because, Toby and I are both big fans of any veteranpreneur, and he's been one himself many times and has run many businesses. And, if we don't support our own, who's going to support them? If we can't help promote our own, someone doing their time in the military, learning a lot of great skills, and then getting out and doing something else with it. One, it's a great testament to, hey, you don't, just because you were in the infantry, you did this, whatever, you're not tied to being a cop or doing what, like the world is your oyster, as Tony Montana said. And you can do all kinds of things. The skills that we get in the military are far above and beyond the technical skills that we learned in AIT.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, I was putting packing list skills to use 2 days ago and schooling some people here on how to do them properly. So it's just every single aspect that you learn inside the military translates to so much more than you would ever expect in any field you go to and in any situation you find yourself in. And I think a lot of veterans and active duty need to keep that in the back of their mind whenever they're looking at, what's my next step? How do I close this chapter and continue to move forward? And for, any other, business people out there or people that are just going through the shit right now, keep in mind that if you can make it through the tough times, the great times are going to be that much better. And every time you go through the tough times and you hit a lull, you hit that rock bottom, whenever you get past it, the next time something like that happens, you're going to be like, huh, that's it. I've been through way worse, and
Right.
it's gonna be that much better. So just want to say that out there, because I have talked to some friends that are, really starting to struggle some, and you got to keep your head down, continue the mission, reach out to your friends, family, people who you served with, and continue to communicate with people, because you're not alone, regardless of what you're doing or where you are.
Right. I mean, you still got to have good product. You got to have a good service or whatever. But, like you said, when everyone first went to basic, before you got off that bus, you flew into whatever airport. For me, it was Benning. I think for you, probably the same thing.
Yep.
And you got off, you didn't know what you were getting into, right? You stayed that night at MEPS. You didn't know what the next day was going. Everything we've done in life, whether you go from elementary to middle school, or from high school to college, or in the Army, or in the airborne school, or Ranger school, or whatever, or get out of the Army, which is probably the scariest, because usually by then you probably have a family to support and everything. I mean, that's what I had. You're like, you have all the butterflies. That's normal, right? It's like, what am I getting into? Am I making the right decision? Am I going to be able to survive? Did I screw up? That kind of stuff. But then once you step into the breach, right, you cross that threshold, you realize it ain't that bad. You can figure this out. And my first several years out of active duty, I was working in IT, went to work in an office in IT. And I've told the story a few times, but it's been a while. And the HR rep, she called me in one day, and I'd been there about, I don't know, maybe a year. And I had a lot of stress. I carried a lot of responsibility. And she was like, everyone talks, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm doing fine. I'm good. And she's like, everyone talks about how happy you are all the time. Like, you're in such a good mood. And, like, nothing freaks you out. You carry a lot of stress. You've got a lot of responsibility, but everyone's like, you're the most happy-go-lucky guy. I'm like, a little over a year ago, I was in a place called JRTC, covered from my ankles to my nose in poison ivy, poison oak, and spider bites. I'm like, I'm in an office wearing khakis and a polo with a cup of coffee. Like, this is easy. I mean, and I carried that with me for a long time. I'm like, you don't know where I just came out of. I'm like, this is like, I'm driving to work. No one's yelling at me. I go sit at my desk. I do work. I'm like, I'm not miserable. I leave. We go out for lunch. We come back. I'm like, I'm not held for a formation for 2 hours because somebody lost something. I'm not, I'm not waiting on a commander to get out of a meeting to just tell me to go home. I'm like, this is nothing. I'm like, and I think a lot of people, once you go through that, right, once you train harder than you fight, essentially, then the fight isn't as bad. Mm-hmm. And going into this, obviously, it's a big risk. You probably invested a lot of money. You probably took a big risk of, like, how is this going to work? Am I going to just waste money and time and find myself, broke and all that kind of stuff? Or can I pull something off doing something brand new for the first time? But once you got into it, I mean,
there's no turning back. I mean, a lot of people don't know the second time that I went to college, I only went to college online to pay for my apartment rent while I was starting this. And then as soon as it was in a good position, I dropped out of college for the second time.
Getting that GI Bill check in.
Yeah. I was just like, things are getting tight. I need a little bit more cash. I was like, what can I do? And I was like, here's a really easy course I can do on University of Phoenix online. I can make $800 a month doing it. So I was like, screw it. Let's freaking do it and see what happens.
Yeah. No, that's it. And so, I mean, that's why your stories are so good, because like yours, because, people can see, oh, this grunt, this old guard guy, whatever, went and did this stuff and has stepped out into a world that has nothing to do with anything in the military, right? Nothing is absolutely, you weren't a cook in the Army. You weren't, whatever. It's like mine. I got in IT working on computers, and people would ask me, like, what'd you do in there? Did you work on computers? I'm like, no, I jumped out of airplanes. I was an infantry guy, ground pounder. Like what? Like a year ago? How do you get here? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with the skills. I mean, it has to do with your attitude and your dedication and persistence to learn something and be good at it and be the best you can. The stuff that the military teaches you all the time.
Yeah, right? It's just, you hear it so much while you're in, it just goes one ear and out the other eventually. And you lose track of that. And I was talking to a buddy of mine 2 weeks ago while he was in town. And one of the things we were kind of joking about is like how some people aren't able to kind of close the book of being in the military. And I try to look back at it, like, so many people, whenever they first get out of high school, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, high school was the greatest thing ever. And that was like their whole entire life. And then, they get out of college or they get in the military and anything like that. And then that's all in the rearview mirror. And I think a lot of people need to realize, like, hey, yes, being in the military is a huge chapter of your life, but it's a chapter. It's not the end of the book.
Yep. And it's one you learn from, just like in a book. Each chapter leads and adds to the story of the next and to the final story, right? And people ask me, I told them, I said, I don't regret. I love every minute. I was born into the Army as an Army brat, and then went on and did it myself. I'm like, I credit all my successes in my civilian world 100% to military. Mm-hmm. I mean, people management, conflict resolution, time management, prioritization, everything that people would recognize and commend me on, and I got rewarded for in my civilian career, were 100% tied back to the basic skills and fundamentals that I learned in the military. And it really wouldn't matter. I could say it wouldn't matter what my job was. And I'm sure there's probably some jobs that just don't carry all that same stuff, but I can only speak from an infantry standpoint, right? There's just, it's, that's what led me to do that, because that's what led me to sit down and go, this isn't stressful. This doesn't bother me. This is easy. I mean, I've already seen hard. There's nothing hard about this. What else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And this isn't scary. I mean, what's scary is, will I be a success, or will I just drop too many F-bombs and fail out? And, then I've got to try to support a family. That's the scary part. But once you realize that, hey, just be a good person and work hard, and just, be somewhat civilized, you're going to be okay.
And if you fail, that's just a minor setback for a major comeback. Yeah. It's nothing. I failed at a ton of stuff. I mean, this is my third registered business.
Right. And the first two went somewhere, but you learn from them, right? We learn from mistakes. We don't learn from, I tell people this all the time, Jason, in civilian world too. We don't learn from doing right.
Right.
We don't learn when things go right. We say, cool, we're right. We don't walk away from saying, wow, that went right because this. We just go, I tried hard. I tried to do something. It worked right. We learn from touching the hot pot, right? If we don't touch the hot pot, we'll never learn. It's when we get burned that we go, I should never do that again, right?
And that's the best way to learn.
Right. That's what teaches us is that getting a few scars, getting this, because if we just sail through, if we have nothing but yes people around us, if your life comes on a silver platter, you really don't learn anything, right? No. You're disconnected from reality of the suffering that people go through to get better and improve and that kind of stuff.
And that's what I love with entrepreneurship. It's one of the things that a lot of people don't see is that every single day it's the basic and boring stuff. People will see, us here on the podcast. They'll see, our social media, cooking recipes and out hunting or something like that. And they don't see the amount of paperwork that's right underneath my laptop right here that I've literally been going through for the last, 2 days of just administrative stuff. And, some days not coming out of the office and telling everyone, hey, leave me alone to be able to get caught up on all this kind of stuff. It's a lot of the basic and boring stuff, but the Army instills that discipline in you, but also on top of that, it teaches you to step out of your comfort zone and be comfortable being uncomfortable. So then that pushes me, typically, like where we're on this podcast right now, this is like my learning time. I'm out of the warehouse or the office, I'm back at the house, and I dedicate typically an hour to 2 hours every single night to learn and try and master a new subject of the business that I haven't been there yet, because I know that that's one of my weaknesses. And the more that I can get better at my weaknesses, the less I will have, and we will have a better business. I can be a better leader. I can be a better CEO of a company, and I can build the better product for our customers at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Because folks, in the Army, right, we call it 3 up and 3 down, right? We do an AAR or a hot wash after some kind of training event or some kind of action, usually a training thing. Right. What 3 things went right, we sustain, and what 3 things do we need to improve on? So, they're not our 3 weak downsides again. Right. So that next time they're sustained, and there's always room for improvement, where none of us are perfect. And there's always something we can do better, whether it's learn the financial piece better, plan farther out for an upcoming event, improve a product, come up with a new product. And I'm sure some of that learning you're doing is studying the market. Where does it look like there's a gap? Where does it look like that there's someone not really filling it that, could you guys come up with something that there's a need for out there? And that takes time. You're either paying someone to do that research, which you probably don't want to do and can't afford, or you're going to just knuckle down and do it yourself. And then say, okay, this is where we're going to go. And
yeah. And it's funny you brought up the AAR. I mean, we do that every single day. We have AARs. We have sub meetings on Mondays and Thursdays. Sorry. And that is part of our sub meetings is what is our week beginning and our ending AAR. And it's the same thing as, one of the things that one of my best leaders taught me is you end your day preparing for the next day. So even if you get thrown a curveball, the baseline of your entire day that's about to happen is done and taken care of. And you're prepared for that curveball. And that's what we do here is we end every single day preparing for the next day so we can be ready at whatever gets thrown at us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you can try to not get caught on your heels and flat footed, but caught on the balls of your feet and ready for it, right? Kind of feet shoulder width apart, arms out, ready to go and ready to catch it and either throw it off to the side or pull it in tight and deal with it or whatever. Yeah. No,
Sure.
dude, so many great examples here, not just only in starting a business, but also leadership and that. I hope you are given the opportunity to speak to military groups, young leaders, that kind of stuff. So I think you'd be able to apply a lot of lessons to folks that are either, looking at getting out of the military or just coming into the military and how to build upon that.
That's one of the things that as the business grows and I have more and more amazing staff and teammates of the business and I have more kind of free time to be able to get into that is one of the routes I want to go to. One of the, I think, funniest things is one of my first big speaking engagements, not just like, oh, hey, we're at this little dinner with a nonprofit. Jason, can you get up and say some things like, oh, hey, you're walking into an auditorium with 300 people. Was at the community college that told me that I was not smart enough to go to their community college and denied me right before I joined the military.
And you went back to be a guest speaker there.
I got invited by a group of veterans that all loved my stuff. They got me approved as a speaker. That college had no idea the back history to all of it, and that was the opening of my speech. Is no matter what any of these staff here or faculty tells you or anyone else in life, nothing is impossible unless if you're short and you want to play basketball.
I'm sure that made a few people squirm.
You could tell some faces in the back of the auditorium at the staff. They weren't the happiest because then, I proceeded to tell them that, hey, with all due respect, in 2009, this is the same college that told me I wasn't smart enough to, go to this college. And here we are 10 years later in 2019 giving a speech.
Yeah, that definitely, they're probably trying to look up the records. Who was it that said that?
Exactly. But I mean, no shame on them. If that instance didn't happen, we wouldn't be here right now.
Right. Everything's happened for a reason, right? And unanswered prayers. And sometimes we don't see why at the time, but we find out later that there's a reason. It was all for the best. Yeah. Speaking of basketball, let's cut into a few current events here. A few minutes we got left. Did you see the stuff today about this whole FBI, NBA announcement and the 30-something arrest across the country dealing with the Italian mafia and all that?
Insane. LeBron's involved with it, which I have very choice words to say about him. But yeah, no. So you met our Marine Corps veteran here, Dylan. He is the one who comes in
for him. That's good to employ the underprivileged. That's good.
Well, I mean, as you said, it's our DEI hire.
Yes, exactly.
He comes into my office typically about once every hour on the hour to update me on events like that. So he came in earlier and was like, oh, somebody's getting scolded for, rigging NBA games and all this and that kind of stuff. And as we were closing down things here today, he came back in to give me the full debriefing on it. So I typically try and stay away from a lot of the poppy news articles, but he comes in and fills me in. So he's my news guy.
That's yeah, he keeps you updated. Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, it's about 30 something people arrested involving 5 different families of the Italian mob, which I don't know, people more surprised that an active NBA player who makes millions a year was risking it all by betting and being involved with that kind of stuff, or that the mafia is still around. And there's 5 families of mafia that were involved in this, including rigged poker games, an NBA head coach, other coaches, other play. I mean, it was like a Hollywood movie. I mean, it was like something you would see in some kind of I don't know, movie. In fact, they're already saying who's going to write the book and play the screenplay on this one. I mean, it's and obviously this is not something overnight. I mean, thousands of recorded calls, hidden cameras and chandelier and stuff, and all the super secret stuff like you see in movies. This was years in the making.
You're starting to see more and more from all these different sectors of that starting to be uncovered. The biggest thing I want to actually see is people actually get held accountable, because there's so much just talk in the news of saying, oh, hey, this person, is guilty of this, they're guilty of this, but nothing ever happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. They oh, we're not going to bring charges, right? Look at so a jury wouldn't find him guilty, so we're just not going to bring charges, right? We all know what that one's from, or he's too old and feeble. No jury would convict because he's too old and feeble and stuff, and it's like excuses are made up. But yeah, this was a huge multi-state international crime syndicate effort, and I guess the NBA's been cooperating, all the teams have been, but boy, just talk about we see a lot of shock and awe every day in the news. There's always something, usually coming out of the Trump administration or whatever, 9 drug boats taken out so far, all kind of stuff. I don't think anyone had this on their bingo card.
No. And also, do you think that there's any tie with this and the WNBA foreign objects being thrown on the court?
I hadn't even thought about that. I don't think so. I don't, unless someone was betting on it. If someone was betting that would happen, maybe so.
You were here. As soon as that started popping off, we were placing bets on the next game if it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I don't remember the guy's name, but the one player of the Miami Heat, the one that he was betting against himself and his team, and he walked off after 9 minutes claiming an injury and just left the game because he had bet that they were he'd short betted that they were gonna do well. I mean, that was about as brazen as can get. I mean, it just happened the other day. It's just, so I don't know. Like if someone is betting that, those objects would get thrown on WNBA court, and then they're the ones that throw. It's like the one guy, you probably saw it. I don't remember the event or whatever. I mean, I think it was a football game, or it might have been the Super Bowl last year, where the guy was a streaker. Bet that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl, and then he did it. And whatever he paid in fine, I think he made 4 or 5 times that on the bet. So, he made like 500,000 that there'd be a streaker at the Super Bowl, and it cost him like $100,000 in fine. So, it's yeah, I guess if you can if you're willing to take, what the punishment's going to be, the payout's better, then that's the motivator. But no, it was just crazy to see that today with everything else, with what's going on, the White House reconstruction, the stuff in Chicago. You've got the Dems, making an app on tracking ICE. We got everything at the, you got the shutdown, right?
Glock getting banned.
What's that?
You saw all the stuff going on with Glocks?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so California is basically banning the majority of them. So now Glock is discontinuing like 85% of their models and introducing the Gen V, I think is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
For all the new ones, so the switch plates can't be installed so easily.
Yeah, I did see the stuff about the California thing. I didn't realize that was what's driving. I knew new models were coming out. I didn't know that's what was driving it, but it makes sense. But
I think they pushed it just a little early on releasing all that kind of stuff with all that drama going on.
Yeah. What do you think about this whole shutdown now? 23 days in, we got now airports are grounding, shutting down. They can't get people to work. Obviously, your military is still showing up, but And I guess they got paid on the 15th because President Trump directed them to, which, excuse me, I think it was great. I'm sure he went to Pete and said, "Hey, take some money from these programs and these whatever, make sure they get paid." I mean, but I mean, this can't go on forever. Do you think this is going to have an impact on your business?
I think it will eventually. I think in the immediate, this is obviously going on a lot longer than last time it happened. Because I know I was active duty whenever it happened underneath Obama. We still got paid. There was a big, assumption that we weren't going to get paid. We did. And then shortly after that, it opened back up. But I think for the first really, 2 to 4 weeks of this government shutdown, you're starting to realize all of these government entities that don't need to exist. Yeah. So, I think now more than ever, something like a Doge would be very effective on just clearing house.
I think the president even said it. It's like, well, if they're not essential employees, then why do we need them? Right. If we can do without them. I mean, I worked for the Army as a contractor when that happened, when Obama shut down. I was considered mission essential, but I was also paid for, already prepaid as a contractor. So I was getting paid either way. Those monies were already spent and allocated. But the folks I worked to my left and right, the military and the civvies, I mean, they also were deemed that and still had to come in and work. And I can tell you, I was telling someone this today, you don't want to be mission essential or critical because everyone knows that everyone else gets to go sit at home and get free vacation because everyone's still going to get paid.
Yep.
So the folks that have to come in every day are going to get paid, not anymore, not a bonus. They're still going to get paid, caught up. It's like everyone else is, but everyone else just gets to go chill at the house and catch up on their Hallmark channel or whatever it is they're doing. And, or if it's the right time of the year, go hunting. And so people don't want to be mission critical. Right. But if you start firing them and say, we don't need them, that'd be different.
Yeah, and I think there's what you were asking before about, is it going to affect the business? I think in the immediate, no. Longer term, the longer it goes, like you said, flights are getting grounded. That's going to start making everything start to get more and more and more expensive with certain things. So yes, it's gonna end up hitting us pretty hard. It's just we don't know when and we don't know how, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, it's not, depending on where people fall on each side of the aisle. I mean, it doesn't, the Dems really have no cards to play. And I think they're doing themselves more harm than good every day they let this go. It'd be different if it was, if there wasn't some precedence, but there's a precedence of a number of CRs. I mean, CRs become so common that everyone just expects them to happen come October every year. But for the first time, they're trying to introduce and increase spending by 1.5 trillion. It's like, wait, but you passed all these other CRs all this other time. We could have prevented all this from happening. No one likes CRs because you're just kicking a can down the road. At some point, you got to deal with it. But you're not letting the government shut down by mandating spending of something, and it's not even spending for good stuff, for healthcare, for illegals and that kind of stuff. Which I think the majority of the country in the polls have said. They're all for kicking everyone. Everyone has been very supportive of the immigration and border enforcement and immigration policy.
Oh, for sure. And, something I was seeing this a lot last night because I believe it was on the 21st or the 20th is whenever it exhausted. But, the SNAP program is out of funding. So, people needing food stamps don't have that. And you're starting to see more and more people on TikTok. Last night I was watching some of the videos of saying, if you're going to take away my food stamps, I'm just going to go loot and steal from the store. That brings to light how far away that actual SNAP program that started back in the 50s has gone from what it started as. Because it's literally supplemental nutrition assistance program. It's not go buy a fancy steak, some Coca-Cola, and a bunch of other stuff that you don't need. And some of these people are getting, well over $700-800 for having 2 kids a month.
They've lost the word supplemental. It's primary funding. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, put them on water and bologna and some bread until you can get back.
Give them some government cheese. There's still government cheese out there. I mean,
There's some expired MRE somewhere.
yeah. I mean, I was before your time, but I mean, back when I was younger, there was still, you'd get your government cheese block. It was a full, it wasn't even sliced. You still had to slice it yourself, but it was a, 12-inch long square block of government cheese. And cut it yourself. You didn't get that that was fancy when you had it already sliced in a little wrapper. I mean, it was, it's out there. They could provide it. Maybe that's what's needed to motivate people to get off the entitlement programs. But this is definitely exposing a lot. I think this is really going to backfire on the left, who thought that this was going to be a good thing for them somehow. I don't, how they not realize that President Trump pretty much does what he says, means what he says, and can be a little bit stubborn. I mean, he's not a politician; he's a businessman.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it's 23 days in. I know we first got the first couple of days. They were counting like, oh my God, 4 days, 5 days. I mean, could this go to November? Possibly, but boy, it's going to put a bad hurt on this country for the holidays.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping, that they can come to some sort of a resolution, pull through, because it's one thing to, I think, like you said, it's good because we're uncovering a lot of stuff that isn't necessary, that needs to be changed. But at the same time, I truly think that there needs to be some sort of a uplift, especially around the holiday season for a lot of families, or else you're going to start to see a lot of the things that us in the veteran community are unfortunately used to seeing.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. And it's, the bills are not going to stop coming. So even if they get the pay starts back up, there's a catching back up. And again, when with the holidays coming and everything like that, it is probably not going to bode well for the side that the American people consider to be blamed for this. But, it'd be different if the Republicans were trying to add in a whole bunch. And the left was just going, no, let's just stick with the CR. But I mean, it's absolutely the opposite of that. So it's not like the Republicans are trying to add anything into it. And it just doesn't look. But yeah.
I'm excited to see. Did you see Kash Patel announcing that they've been following the money for Antifa, and that they're seeing a lot of it come in from, shocker, NGOs, nonprofits, and then also overseas funding to America.
Oh, really? No, I hadn't heard that. To follow, I didn't know how far along they've gotten so far.
Yeah, I don't know how much more details it has. That was another news update from Dylan, our warehouse Marine, this afternoon. So that was one of the nuggets that I got from him that I thought was super interesting, because, we dealt with a lot of the protesters, riots, all that kind of stuff, being there in Arlington and in DC all the time for it. And then you see all these people who are working on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, protesting. And that was something, even me growing up as a kid, my dad would bitch and complain about and be like, how the hell do these people have time to take off work and be at this protest?
Right.
And, being a business owner, I'm thinking the same exact thing. And then, one of the things he was talking about is the fact that a lot of the people at the protest are on salary and are being told by some of these nonprofits to take the day off and go here. And so it's not technically paid.
Right. Even those nonprofits are also, usually funded by different organizations, Soros type organizations or overseas organizations or whatever it may be, trying to push some kind of agenda. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that, there's two sides to every nonprofit. There's a 501c3 and a 501c4, and the C is public, the 4 is not.
Oh, really? So there's always a 501c4 that's behind a 501c3? I did not realize it. You're a smart business guy. You got this figured out. But so you're not letting any of your people off to go protest, huh? I'm assuming.
It would have to be a good protest if we're going to do that.
Yeah, probably something to do with guns or hunting. Yes.
Getting the brisket price down, something that we can all enjoy as a community.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I know you got a lot of great things in store. We talked about some of the stuff I know you're planning for next year, and we'll wait for it to announce that when it's time. But I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate, We've got the Stew in the Nun discount code. So if you go to grillyourassoff.com, you don't have to go to that exact link, but before you check out, you put in Stew in the Nun, you're going to get 15% off. 15% off of anything you buy. You're not going to go wrong there. You don't have to buy the whole store, but you can buy a little bit of everything and try it out yourself. You can trust me or not, but I'm telling you, I'm using this stuff. It's going on my family's food, my buddy's food, and it's top quality. It's just, like Travis makes good quality stuff. This is not some overseas made, mass produced, don't know what's in it kind of stuff. Your stuff is solid, Jason, and I really appreciate getting to know you and having you make such a great product.
No, I stuff like that right there. Like, I don't have anything back to say other than thank you. It was amazing. The first time you had me on the show, it's always humbling whenever I'm invited to come on a show, especially by another veteran, and then doing another show with you, and then having you here inside the warehouse, being able to walk you through, talk to you about the history and, the why behind products, behind the company. And then, thank you again for having us on. I'm glad that we can give out a discount code for your listeners. And for anyone who is curious about shopping, we do have a bundle builder on the website. If you're actually on the website, you'll see a deals tab on the home navigation, and right underneath that deals, you'll have a bundle builder. And then the more you add up in the bundle, the more you save, and you can use that 15% off code on top of that. So that way, if you want to get a different variety of everything, you can do all of that right there and be set up and be good to go. I'm not trying to plug y'all. I just know that, right now, a lot of people are feeling it. So if every bit of savings can help, I greatly appreciate you for having me back on the show. I appreciate your listeners for supporting our company, because I have seen the orders come through. I have seen the notes on the orders from listeners of this show. Doug, Carol, y'all have been in the chat this whole entire show, so I cannot thank y'all enough for being a part of it. And again, thank you for having me on. And hopefully the next time I come on, I'll have some new fun products for us to test.
I hope so. And next time I get down at the free state of Tejas, I'll have to get by again. But I bought mine off a bundle. I bought a 6-pack bundle, and I pieced together. I wanted to buy everything, but I was like, okay, let me just get a 6-pack of stuff that I know I would use for the type of cooking that I do. So that is definitely a great option. I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, well, great seeing you, Jason. I'll let you give you the rest of your night back. Thank you for coming on, brother. We'll stay in touch, and I hope you see a lot more orders coming across with that Stew in the Nun discount code. And reach out anytime you got something new you want to plug, do a quick little snippet on something, announce anything for the first time. We'd be glad to be your venue for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, bud.
You too.